Welcome back to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur. Today we have a special guest, my friend Madeline Stout. Madeline, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's fun to have people on that I know, and then I even get to know you a little better because I'll ask you some questions that just don't come up in normal conversation. I couldn't do you justice with an introduction, so kind of tell everybody kind of who you are and what you do.
My name is Madeline Stout. I own a company called Profit Panda CFO. And basically what we do, it's accounting services, but we take it a step further and we call ourselves fractional CFOs. And to us, what that means is that we're really that boots on the ground financial partner. We want to help our clients pass the numbers. So of course, we do the tax planning, the bookkeeping, the payroll, and all things related to numbers. But ultimately, business owners have questions like, can I buy this truck or should I make this hire? And so we want to come alongside, partner with our clients to really answer some of those questions that maybe your bookkeeper or whoever is managing your books may not be able to answer.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't have done that, so that's great. What motivated you to start a company that focuses on fractional CFO services?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I originally started out, my background is in tax, and then I worked for a CPA firm who also specialized in merger and acquisition. So oftentimes I was in the room as, deals were being made or mergers or businesses were being acquired. And what I was noticing on the tax side is that typically our entrepreneurs would come in, and because they're just there to file their tax return, they're making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And their company might be growing, but ultimately no one is sitting down at the table with them to give them guidance. And ultimately that impacted their multiplier when they went to sell. And so I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I could only have an hour once a quarter with these entrepreneurs, how differently would that deal be at the 5 years, 10 years down the road? So I ended up just freelancing, doing bookkeeping, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was essentially someone's fractional CFO, but just labeling myself as a bookkeeper. And when I made that connection that, you know what, we're actually offering more of strategic partnership with preparing the financials, that's when Profit Panda CFO came to be.
And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing this for about 12 years, but Profit Panda is a new business. I started this in the fall of 2022, so we're about a year and change.
Yeah, and full disclosure for the audience, Madeline is part of my access program, and so I'm asking her some questions I know the answers to, but want you guys to get the insight. Why the panda?
Well, I knew I wanted profit to be in the name because ultimately we're here to help people run their businesses
Uh-huh.
profitably and actually keep their revenue. So I'm like, profit parrot, profit piranha, like it had to be something. So there's no meaning behind the panda, but I'm glad it worked out that way.
It's worked out well, and you guys have a cool company culture. Um, it's not your typical accountants. I mean, you guys aren't
No.
walking around in suits and things like that. Right? This is Madeline. This is how you
Yeah,
get
for
her.
those who are listening to the audio version, I'm wearing a ball cap with the panda, of course, but we're very dressed down because we work with contractors, so we're not trying to be, the super buttoned up.
Yeah, no, and it's cool, and but you've established very quickly. You've established a really strong culture. I know that a lot of that's because you have a really good coach, right?
Yeah, so I believe in having coaches, honestly, in a lot of aspects in life, spiritually being plugged in. I think in business, I've hired a business coach. I use Mike Claudio at One Rate Consulting,
Yeah.
but I also connect with Thomas Keenan at Step It Up Academy. I've been a part of a lot of the events that he puts on. Legal, right? We need to have someone in that arm. That's why I'm a part of your access program, health and fitness. I think it's really wise to link up with people who are excelling in their own departments to help leverage your business.
Yeah. How long have you been part of Mike Claudio's win rate consulting?
I officially started in January of last year, so it's been just over a year.
Just over a year. It's been a big year for you. I know when I started the Access program, that's when I hired my first coach, and I couldn't have done this without that coach, and then the many others that I've hired along the way. Would you agree with me that you probably wouldn't be where you are today without that coaching?
Without a doubt. I mean, I think that it's possible that as an entrepreneur, we would have figured it out eventually,
Right.
but it's like, how many times do you have to slam your head into the wall to figure it out? And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like with coaching, I was able to scale more quickly. I was able to scale with integrity. It was nice to have someone who wasn't emotionally connected to the business, who could kind of help filter decisions, being that external. And then also just someone who's been there before, coach with someone who's a little bit further down the road, they're where you want to be, so they can kind of help guide you along the way.
Yeah, and Mike's one of the word I'm looking for, his market, his niche is also contractors, right?
Yeah, so we're basically in the same target market, just offering different services.
Yeah, so he totally gets who you're trying to help, which makes it much easier for him to help you for sure. That's
And Mike was a client, like fun fact, when he's talked about this publicly, which is why I can disclose it, but he is not only a client, but he's also the coach. So he gets so many perspectives of working with the business, but then also coaching the business, so he can speak to client experience as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And and Mike and his team do a great job. If you're a contractor in that world and you're looking for a coach, win rate is fantastic. And if you can't find them for some reason, reach out to me or to Madeline, and we'll get you connected, because they can really help you take your business to the next level in a way that you probably wouldn't even imagine. So just free plug for Mike there. What are some key strategies that you teach your business owner clients to optimize their profits?
So the first one I would say is that your profit and loss is never going to give you the answers that you're looking for. I think oftentimes people, they pull that P&L and expect that to be from top to bottom, this is how my business is performing. But especially in construction, that's just not the case. Your profit and loss is designed to show you your revenue, your cost of goods sold, so like what are our direct expenses, and our overhead. And at the bottom line, that's your net income. And that's important because that's what you're taxed on. And ultimately, we want to make sure that we're profitable on the bottom line. But there's several transactions that go out of your bank account or affect cash that aren't shown on that report, like credit card payments, truck loans, vehicle payments, lines of credit, if you have an SBA loan, if you're taking distributions, making tax payments. So I think with my folks in construction, especially, they're spending $30, $50, $100,000. It's not even represented on that form. And so oftentimes it's difficult to make decisions when you're not presented the full picture. So I would say right off the bat, that's always where we start, is really educating our clients on what are the reports I should be looking at, what are the indicators I should be focusing on, and where's my cash going?
What are some key indicators that most contractors aren't looking at that they should be?
I think so I'll break it up into two categories. I think that there's direct indicators, and I think that there's indirect indicators. Direct indicators, my favorite one is understanding your burn rate, or how much cash does your company consume on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. Oftentimes people refer to this as, what does it cost for me to keep the lights on? That's an important number to know and understand, like the back of your hand. Indirectly, I think that there's ways that you can burn cash that aren't necessarily attributed to an expense. So for example, let's talk about days on a project. If you expect a project to take you 3 days, but it ends up taking you 6, it becomes less profitable because it's having to sustain double the amount of overhead.
Right.
Another indirect cost would be protecting your leads. If you're not housing that within a CRM or in some type of protected software, oh, I'm going to go give this to my cousin. That's a loss to the company, right? Or I'm going to go give this to my friend. This would be a good job for them. So there are different ways to gauge some of these indicators. So I would say those right off the bat would be good ones to initially focus in on.
Okay. Hey there, it's Scott Reed, cutting in for a quick moment. If you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in our discussions, you're going to love the Access Plan. It's designed for entrepreneurs like you, offering unlimited legal advice without the worry of high hourly fees. With the Access plan, you can get the legal support you need at a flat monthly rate so you can focus on growing your business with confidence. Head over to reblaw.com/access to learn more and join Access now and get busy shatterproofing your business. Now let's get back to our amazing guest.
Okay. And you mentioned CRM. So it kind of leads in where I wanted to go next is what kind of technology are you leveraging in the financial world to help your clients?
Yeah. So definitely we're a fan of QuickBooks Online or having some type of cloud-based accounting system, whether it's Xero, QuickBooks. Some folks will have a CRM with integrated accounting, but I recommend let's get off the spreadsheet if we can.
Yeah.
The second piece of software is if you do have a CRM or a project management system, I think that's important. So, remotely, we're able to see your estimates and job costing and leads. I mean, all of those do affect the company at some point financially.
Right.
And then from the Profit Panda side of the house, we do have the Profit Panda mobile app. That's really imperative for client communication as well as weekly reporting that our clients get. And then we do use some analytics software to extrapolate data from the financials as well as the CRM and put it together so that way we can have one cohesive big picture of the company.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. So tell me about the app. Not every accounting or CFO firm has their own app. What's that like?
I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we're always on the go. And so sometimes it's difficult to be behind the computer screen and getting through your emails. I was noticing that my client base, they really enjoyed texting, but it was difficult for me to scale the company if all of the text messages are going to my phone, but I might have different people in, different areas or on the West Coast, and we all need to get the same information. So that's why we created the Profit Panda mobile app. What you can get through there are resources. So, compliance related things, reminders. We send out our weekly reports, client communication. It's really just an app to support, having on-demand access to your accounting team.
Sounds like I need an app. How did you go about getting your own app?
So I am an accountant on a budget because that's like very on brand for me. We want to be fiscally responsible. So I ended up white labeling it. I found a company who already had the infrastructure built. I made a small payment to white label and brand it, and then I just paid for some slight modifications, and it worked for us. So,
Oh, that's great. So yeah, so if you're listening and don't have an app, you should consider it, and then you don't have to reinvent something or start from scratch. Go look for things you could white label that already do maybe most of what you need, and then tweak it a little bit to fit your community or your client base. Is that right?
Yeah, and 100%. And if you do want something, I'll give another free plug. The app guys, they do development and make it all custom. They do a great job. So shout out to Logan at the app guys if you are looking for something past the white label.
Cool. And we'll grab that and put that in the show notes so you guys can grab it, because that would be a great resource, and I'll probably be checking that out myself.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this long enough that you went through 2020 and all the trouble we had with the thing that shall not be named. How did that affect your world?
So in the exact opposite way as just about everyone else, 2020 was about the best year for accountants because in order to get the SBA, PPP, and the EIDL and the COVID relief, everybody needed financials, everyone needed payroll data. And so that was, I think we had processed about 260 applications, and that was a lot for us being a small new company. But that time that shall not be named was actually one of the best years for us. And we've had consistent growth since then, but it was good for business, and we're glad to help be able to get support for our clients.
Yeah, I bet. Cool. Well, what's the future? What is the future for Maddie Stout and Profit Panda?
So I've definitely seen a need for fractional CFO services, which is what we are honing in on. But I see an opportunity for fractional COO services. So stay tuned. We've got a couple things coming, Profit Panda COO. And I will also have a book release this year. So very exciting.
Do we have a title of the book yet?
Yes, it's called Principles of Profit, How Your Mindset Around Money is Keeping You Broke.
Is there a way for us to get on a list to get that early, or are we is that too soon?
I can send you a link if you'd like to include that in the show notes. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to do that.
Yeah.
For me, I just to give you like a very short teaser about why I wrote the book. It's not just another financial dry read. I believe that finance is a portion of it is the numbers, but a larger portion of it is actually the behavior
Yeah.
and our relationship with money. So whether it's I was raised a certain way, or my parents had a relationship, or maybe in my early marriage, we all have money is emotional. And so really kind of stripping back that emotional layer, focusing on the tactics. I believe that the entrepreneurs who I've seen do really well at that tend to have greater financial success. I know a lot of people who have had money, you know, it's kind of like the Uncle Ricos of the world. Oh, well, back in my day, I had a great successful business, but it's another thing to keep it. And so you need to have disciplines and behaviors in order to sustain wealth rather than to just have it for a moment.
And it's two different skill sets. Making money and keeping money aren't the same thing.
100%. So that's what the book will unpack.
Awesome. Well, I know that you're a Christ follower and that your faith is important to you. We hear a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs say that I have a Christian business, or that I'm a Christian. And what does that mean to be a Christian and have God in your business?
Yeah. So my word for this year is steward. And I take that from honestly, I take it from my faith background, but I just believe that I'm helping people steward what is already God's. And so in my opinion, I take my job very seriously. I know that when we're dealing with other people's money, and not only stewarding other people's money, but also stewarding my team and helping people make decisions, like there's a lot of weight in that. And so I would say like that has been the word that's been guiding me. But even more so, what do I choose to do with that responsibility? I want to set the example for my team and our clients. So we donate a percentage of our profits to a nonprofit. It's called the Panda Project. We actually started the nonprofit, but we focus on aftercare support for women and children in domestic sex trafficking. And we believe that that's a way that we can kind of use our business in ministry.
Wow. Very cool. Work-life balance. I mean, you're not only a super cool entrepreneur, but you're a mom and a wife. How do you do all this stuff?
By having the best husband in the world. I have 4 children aging from 1 year old all the way up to my oldest daughter is turning 11 this year. And honestly, I mean, my faith, by the grace of God, and having my husband, Drew. I mean, he's the most patient, supportive, and I kind of joke around saying that he's my entire emotional support system.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot to balance, being a technician in your company, also being a founder of a company, and then also being kind of that financial partner for multiple companies, for dozens and dozens of companies. So I'm really grateful to have an amazing support system.
That is awesome. Well, there's some entrepreneurs that maybe are having a tough time right now. They're in a bad spot. Can you look into the camera and kind of give them some words of encouragement?
So the biggest encouragement for me, because we've all been there, is that you are not required to finish making a bad decision.
Ooh.
You can choose today that something isn't working for you and it's not serving you in your company, and you don't have to continue with that decision. It's painful. You might hurt some feelings, you might ruffle some feathers, but as an entrepreneur, you have to be responsible for your shit. And so that will look different to everybody, but I realize that this is a cliche, but I truly believe that if you want to have a profitable company, you can decide today to be profitable and start making decisions instantly. So I think applying that mindset to anywhere in business, that just because you're in a certain place today, like you're not a tree, you can move, right? We can decide I'm not going to follow through on a decision that maybe is no longer serving me, and we're gonna move forward and starting now.
Wow. Yeah, don't be stuck. There's hope. All you have to do is change your mind to change your position. Very cool.
100%.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Shatterproof Entrepreneur. In closing, I want to give you a blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Maddie, thank you for being my friend, and thank you for being on the show. If you're listening or watching and like what you're hearing, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the Shatterproof Entrepreneur.
Thank you.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. While I'm your host, Scott Reed, and a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed by my guests are their own and not mine, and they may not even reflect the opinion of the Shatterproof Entrepreneur podcast. So we strive to provide valuable and accurate content, but we make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of any information to your particular situation, and won't be liable for any errors or omissions for the application of them. Always consult a professional or in the respective area that we've discussed before making any personal or business decisions.